Insight EA makes gathering critical information about your enterprise and business architecture project fast and easy. Insight's surveying capabilities provide a systematic and integrated approach to building HTML survey templates and building dynamic questionnaires. These questionnaires are based on and easily integrated to the important attribute information needed for each architectural object. Insight takes care of distributing the surveys to designated stakeholders and provides an easy method of reviewing and consolidating responses. Once reviewed, the data can update the object related to the survey and use that information to drive powerful models and reporting. Surveys can also be easily rerun periodically to keep the information in the system evergreen. Simply log into Insight EA and navigate to the Survey menu. Here we can manage all surveys in the system. The Edit button allows us to view the HTML email form. On this screen we can see the subject of the survey email, the type of survey, which helps us group surveys, and the number of days the recipients have to respond to the survey. The email body editor supports HTML editing and also replacement tags such as recipient name, application name, and the system-generated URL for each user's unique survey. Back to the survey list, we'll take a look at how questions are configured. In the Survey Designer, on the left, you can see a toolbox of available survey question types and settings. Clicking on an existing question shows edit options for that question and changes the right-hand menu to specific configurations about this question. While there's lots of options available, for now, just note that the first configuration item allows the results of this survey to automatically update an attribute on an object, and we'll see an example of this in action. The Survey Builder also lets you preview how the survey will behave for the end user. We can see the first question dynamically expands, others are drop-downs, etc. Let's close this survey and take a look at one of the applications we intend to include in our survey. Here we can see this application, Closer, has a set of 7 attributes stored against it. You'll note that most of the current state information about this application is unknown at this point. You can also see this application already has a set of stakeholders associated with it. We'll now return to the survey and distribute it for the Closer application. To do this, we simply drag the application onto the distribution table. If we had dragged a portfolio of applications or perhaps a group of business capabilities onto the distribution table, we could bring in all of the relevant objects for distribution at once. But in this case, it's just a single application, so we'll just select this object. We then simply select the first stakeholder and repeat the process for the second stakeholder. We can then simply save the distribution list and hit send. Refreshing the screen updates the distribution table to show surveys have been sent to 2 of the stakeholders for the application Closer and no responses have been received. Now let's jump over to the email one of our stakeholders has received. We can see the email has been personalized with specific system information and a unique key to this stakeholder's survey is provided. Clicking the link brings up the survey. We can see the survey responds exactly as the test survey did in the builder, and the user can select the relevant responses to the questions. Is the application well documented? Is it customer facing? Is it of strategic importance? All of these values will be stored against the object and used in our reports and models. Once the survey is complete, this user is done. While I was completing the survey, our other stakeholder was also completing the survey. And refreshing the distribution screen shows that both responses have been received. Now let's review these responses. Here we can see the current values as we saw when we looked directly on the Closer application object and the 2 stakeholder sets of responses side by side. In the case of discrepancies, the reviewer may use a variety of means to determine the most accurate answers and selects which ones are to be used as final and saves the results. We're then returned to a review screen where responses are grouped by applications and available as a record of all responses. If we now return to the application object, we can see the attributes on this application have been updated based on those responses. Now let's look at one example of how this information might be used, such as an application value chart. Application value charts are covered in more detail in other videos, but we'll select a portfolio of applications which includes the Closer application and plot it against the attributes listed on the table on the right and weighted based on business and technical value. The chart plots the relative value of all the applications in this portfolio. Scrolling down, we can sort the list of applications based on name to find Closer and see the business and technical value scores calculated as a result of this survey. Scrolling up and looking in the Invest quadrant, based on the high business and technical scores, we find our application Closer. Again, this is just one example of data quickly discoverable and usable with Insight's crowdsourcing survey capability.